CQ POTA, CQ POTA. This is Kilo Mike 9 Golf calling. CQ POTA from Park K2516, Rice Lake State Park in Owatonna, Minnesota. Kilo Mike 9 Golf, QRZ. Oh man, I've said that so many times this weekend. How are you all doing? It's great to be here and share this experience with you. This is the after action report from the Kilo in a weekend. Jim, my fabulous co-host, is picking up his oldest and also youngest daughter, and will be joining the show later. I have hidden a link to the show in the Discord. There's a secret tip for you. It's in the Nuggets section, kind of where you'd expect it to be, not so well hidden. If you'd like to join the show and talk about the Parks on the Air activation and how it went this weekend, I'd be happy to have you as my guest for the show tonight. There are 41 of you watching, and that is absolutely amazing. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. It has been a long weekend. So put your questions in the chat. I am mobile. I can't type back any responses. I can't highlight comments very well. I'll try and do my best from my mobile position. But talk about the station that I had. We are in Rice Lake State Park, which is a state park, which is a POTA entity, which is Kilo 2516. There's not a very good view of the sky. The campgrounds are very tight together. I was hoping that I'd be able to use the Starlink internet and live stream a lot of the action from the park itself, but that didn't happen. I guess that was fortunate. It gave me the ability to focus on making the contacts. Anytime there was some activity inside of the travel trailer that we brought with us, I would switch over to FT8, or if there needed to be a discussion about anything, meal plans, logistics, whatever, we would switch over to FT8. So I had 2 different computers, 2 different radios, 4 different logs, because complications. Halfway through, I decided I really don't need 2 computers on the desk and went to 1 computer only. So that's log number 1. Log number 2 is the WSJTX log. So that was all a beast on its own. And then log number 3 was Hammers. I was using Hammers ham radio software for most of the weekend. Fantastic application. Found a couple of, I won't call them bugs. I understand why they exist. I'll call them irritations, maybe pushing the limits of features. I'll reach out and see if I can give some feedback on what those are. No complaints, because a lot of software does it. We got somewhere down the log, and I had kind of a panic moment where I thought that the software froze up and I lost everything, and I was not happy with that. That was totally my fault. I saved the log. I started a new one just in case. There used to be a bug several hundred versions of Hammers ago where it could only handle about 150 contacts before it got stressed, and I was about 330 in. So decided to switch over. So that explains log number 3 and log number 4. I've got to combine all of those logs. I've got to run through all of the dupes. You guys are asking how many contacts. We're at 1,022 contacts plus duplicates. Radios, I use the IC705 at 10 watts for FT8 work, and I use the IC7100. I just bought it from KO4 AFL, Steve Anderjack. Thank you, Steve. Fantastic performer. Everything worked as it should have. No complaints with the radio. Highly recommended. Lionel, Kilo achieved maybe. I definitely agree. I made 1,000 contacts. 100%. I made 1,022 contacts. No questions asked. The problem is, do the POTA gods who run the software, do they believe that they all count as contacts? So I'm going to go until probably 10 p.m. tonight, maybe a couple more hours tomorrow morning while I've got some work meetings to attend to. And then we're packing up and hitting the road and heading back to the home QTH. So I'll probably hit 1,100, maybe 1,200, hopefully, just to be on the safe side. Nothing worse than uploading your logs and having it be like 979 and not be able to go back. I could not run SO2R. I was planning on running single operator 2 radio. I was going to do the 705 on 10 watts FT8 all weekend long while I ran the 7100 on single sideband. I brought tons of antennas. I have a bag full of antennas. I just brought the entire bag. It was easier than unloading anything. I brought 2 poles from Callum, the ex-commander. I brought the short 10-meter expedition pole and the 7-meter light pole. Both of those are fantastic poles. All of the poles that Cal sells are fantastic poles, quality performers. The 7-meter light pole held the QRP guys tri-band vertical. I've wired that for 20 meters at 100 watts. Well, 20 meters at full power. And then 30 meters and 40 meters at 10 watts, 20 watts. I haven't tested it above 10 watts. I don't know how far it'll go. I haven't pushed that yet. So 30 meters Friday night on that antenna on the 705 while I tried to figure out what other bands I could run. I was going to try and do non-harmonic bands, and the non-harmonic bands were still close enough. So if I ran 30 meters on the 705, it would wipe out 20 meters. I wouldn't hear the FT8 sounds on 20 meters, but I would get RFI and couldn't resolve that. Halfway through, I did have to choke the end-fed half wave, which was my other antenna. I had an end-fed half wave set up in an inverted V, probably 8 or 9 meters off the ground at its apex in the center. And then the feed point and the end were about 4 feet off the ground, respectively. And that antenna was a solid performer. I made contacts into Italy, into Spain, into Brazil. I did contact Stuart, M0TTQ in the UK. He was operating from a park today. I went down to 15 meters and contacted him. Contacts all over the US. Don is here. Welcome, Don.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, Don?
My audio okay?
You are great.
Okay, it sounded it was showing a little light when I was coming in.
No
I'm
problem.
doing all right. I did some POTA this weekend too, so I thought I'd come on and share.
Excellent. How many contacts did you make and what was your station?
I got about 12 contacts, but let me tell you why. It was a club event. So the K5RWK went out to the local park here. We probably had about 25 guys out there. We had probably 5 or 6 separate stations. My station was the FTDX10, of course.
Of course.
And I had my 50-foot mast out, and I had the Apollo. So I was running the Apollo, and I only got about 12 contacts because there was so much going on.
Yeah.
And the other thing was most of the contacts I made, because I was on 40, most of the contacts I was making was in Texas because it was Texas QSO party.
Right.
And I don't know why, but that's really all I searched and searched for POTUS, and I didn't hear any. One of the club members, or in fact, several of the club members were on 20. And they were not having much luck. Again, most of their contacts were on, from the QSO party.
How high was your antenna set up?
About 30 feet, 25, 30 feet.
Okay.
So
I wonder if you lowered it down if you'd get more Texas contacts.
No, I did because I was on 40.
Okay.
But the thing was on 40, there were not that many guys. So I got, 15, 20 guys. And then the other thing was after that, there was a kid in the club that wanted to do PSK. So I shifted over and he used the station to run PSK and RIDI and some of the digital modes. He tried to find a guy on Olivia, but never made it. So we had a guy out there running CW. I don't know how many contacts he made. He was running I think a 705 and a Wolf River coil. We had 2 guys that were running, me and another guy that was running an in-fed half wave. And then we had another station at 7300 with a homemade vertical. So, and we were out there from 10 in the morning to almost 2 o'clock in the afternoon straight. No lunch, no anything. I mean, we were having too much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just having too much fun. Visiting, putting up and taking down antennas, trying different things, different bands. There were some guys on 17. They got a couple of contacts on 17. So just all around good time, a great club event.
Yeah, this was a fantastic weekend for ham radio. We had the Salmon Run, we had the Iowa QSO Party, the Wisconsin Parks on the Air event, the Texas QSO Party, the New Jersey QSO Party, the Route 66 special event stations were
Yeah,
all active. There was a lot of stuff going on this weekend on the band.
yeah, I got 2 Route 66 stations, but they were in Oklahoma, which means that I was still basically invis. So, but it was okay. I mean, um, I wasn't hearing very far out, and I couldn't get on any of the other bands because the other guys wanted to be on the other bands. Um, and we were, I don't think we were that far apart, but the thing that surprised me was with all those radios out there. Like I said, we had about 5 radios out there. Uh, Nobody was interfering with anybody else. And by the
Wow.
way, just for the smoking ape, I want to tell you that the worst interference that we got was when somebody used their nano VNA.
Wow.
I mean, just wiped everybody's radio on every band.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell when they were checking their antennas because the band scope would just go crazy. I mean, otherwise it was just flat zero, nothing, and then all of a sudden it was S9. And like I mean, everybody was doing it. Everybody was getting it. And there were 2 guys out there with nano VNAs. Both of them were doing it. I was out there with a rig expert, and guess what? The rig expert did not show up.
I've always wondered on an antenna analyzer if it has to put out RF or if it can just put out like um, AC current on the wire and measure it that way.
I think it actually runs RF.
Right. I just wonder if it can do AC only instead of RF. Instead of trying to radiate, just try and measure the wire scientifically. I don't know. I'm just
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would think it would do that honestly when it's doing the coax testing
mhm.
because I don't see how else. I mean, if you were putting RF out, are you just looking for RF coming back to detect a short? And how do you manage? How do you measure wire length like that? But,
Yeah, I don't know. They're smarter people than me out there. I'm not too humble to admit that. And they do those kind of things.
yeah, yeah. And so you're still out at the park, then? Huh?
Yeah, I'm out at the park until tomorrow 10 or 11 a.m. I'm not in a hurry to leave, but I do have to work off some duplicate contacts. It was interesting. Every time I spotted myself, I'd have like the same 4 people come back and contact me again. And if I recognized them, I stopped logging them. If the software told me they were a dupe, I'd stop logging them. And then I also found some bugs in WSJTX because, like during the FT8 off, I would see that people would continue to contact me after I had sent them the final volley. And then
Yeah,
I realized that it wasn't just them. My software did it too, because I would specifically click away, and then I couldn't get out of that loop. So I'd have to either change bands or change time slots from odd to even or from even to odd. And then sometimes if I changed over time slots, they'd come back and hit me on the other time slot 5-6 minutes later too. And I'm like, I already got you in my log. And
yeah.
sometimes I even have them in the log back to back because I didn't hit the cancel button. I was in the middle of typing something else and hit the space bar by accident or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah, I haven't had that problem with FT8 that I've noticed.
Yeah.
I've gotten duplicates a couple of times on FT8 off, but it was like my own fault because I literally worked them
Right.
again. But yeah, and the but as far as like the software doing it, because see, I installed that on, at least on this machine, I installed that software that does the automatic QSO stuff.
Right.
That's something you showed a long time ago, and I've
Yeah,
never
we
been.
did WSJTZ and we did Auto
Yeah, yeah.
FT8, both of them.
WSJTZ is the one, and I can't. It does not come with an uninstall.
No.
So, and I uninstalled WSJTX, thinking it was mixed up in there, and then I completely rebooted and did everything I could. went back and installed WSJTX, and it comes up with WSJTZ still. I'm actually getting to where I'm liking that. I don't.
It has some features that are not part of the automatic thing that are actually really nice, like being able to do CQ OC or CQ AZ or CQ something like that, and then also like some rejection filters. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. One of these days, I want to try this new radio out in POTA.
Which new radio is that?
The S-Bit-X.
Oh, the S-Bit-X. Okay, cool. Yeah. How are you liking the S-Bit-X so far?
It's okay. I've only gotten to use it a little bit, and I haven't made a QSO on it yet. I tried to get Jameson last night, but the guys that were working him were like running power, so eventually I flipped the amp on and was talking to him on that. But I think right now I'm getting about 20 watts out of it, and I haven't made the BIOS updates, and I'm a little afraid of the BIOS updates because when I've seen when Josh did it on Saturday night, while he was adjusting his BIOS was when the finals went out again. So, and he's got the new regulator and all of that. And I've got, mine came with the new regulator in it. So I ordered mine last week, and if you order it last week, it'll come with the new regulator and an extra set of finals. But I'm hoping that soon they figure out really why those finals keep going out. So for now, it's putting out 20 watts, which is supposed to put 40 watts out. So I'm going to leave it where it is to try to, make the finals last as long as they can. And I may not ever have any problem because I know there are a couple of guys that they've been running it doing FT8 and all kinds of stuff. And one of the neat things, by the way, about this radio is they are planning, it's got FT8 built into it.
Right.
And he is going to be adding FT4, JS8 call, and PSK and RIDI all inside the radio. So you won't have to do anything. You can just click a mode button and switch to the mode, and then it will begin to run the program. And it has a built-in basically FT8. He's just going to build in all those other ones too into the software. So
yeah, it's on my radar to play with. I just have to get to the other end of a bunch of projects that are ahead of it in the queue.
Well, I don't think waiting's a bad thing right now. Let them figure out more about the finals.
Right.
I figured I would order it, and Josh had just gotten the new parts in, so I thought, oh, okay, well, he's fixed it. Well, no. I don't know that he hasn't. I mean, it just Josh may have had some weaker finals from when he got his replacements or something. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm waiting for it. Well, in fact, to be honest with you, the finals that Josh ended up using the other night. So when it blows the finals, only one of the MOSFETs dies. The other one's still good. So what Josh did was he took the two remaining ones and used those last night or the other night when he was doing that. So that they may have been weak from the previous blowout, but nobody can say for sure.
Govain, newly minted extra. Congratulations, my friend. Welcome to the club.
Nice. Anyway, I wanted to pop on and share my little POTA experience over the weekend. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was doing a kilo in a weekend is it's an effort. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Part of the challenge, like I knew when I started this thought process that it wasn't going to be easy, which is what made it fun to try. I mean, if it was going to be easy, if I could get it in 30 minutes on Friday night, why bother?
Yeah.
But the fact that it was a challenge is what made it exciting to try it. And then I wanted to try a couple of different things. And then the weather started to look uncooperative, like thunderstorms. We had a little, it's actually raining right now that I say that. Huh. We had a little bit of rain Friday night, and now we're getting a little bit of rain right now, but like I can see blue skies and sunshine.
Mhm.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So
What,
I was
what
thinking it wasn't going to happen.
what rig were you running and what antenna?
I had the IC7100 on an end-fed half wave, and I had the 705 on a vertical, and then I found out that I couldn't run the two of them together. That's when you joined the show. I
Mhm.
couldn't run the two of them together on non-harmonically related bands, which was my plan, because I thought that would be, number one, a lot of fun to try and do FT8 and sideband at the same time, and number two, to see just how well the non-harmonic bands interacted or didn't interact with each other, and they weren't happy together.
How far apart were they?
Not far enough,
Okay.
because the campsite that I was in was pretty tight in terms of the space that I was allowed to have. I could have gone like farther into the park. It's a huge park, and there was plenty of area to operate outside of the camper, but then I wouldn't have had the electricity, and I didn't bring solar and battery and stuff like that. Like I
Yeah.
came with the intention of operating both radios inside the camper all weekend and getting the job done.
Oh, okay.
So, and if I would have gotten the campsite 2 slots up, I would have had a good acre to play with right next to the campground space that I had allotted. The people that got that one, they set up a badminton court and the bag toss and a bunch of
Yeah.
other stuff for their family to play with, which was pretty cool. But
Mhm.
I was pretty jealous. They also had a better view of the sky, so I might have been able to get the Starlink working from that campsite where I couldn't get it working from mine. It never wound up making any connection at all, not even a partial.
Hmm. And you don't have the mast for it, right?
The mast, no. But even if I did have the mast, I'd have to guy it and I'd have to get it up above the trees.
Yeah, unless you can strap it to the camper.
Right.
I think that's what Jason does.
Yeah, I mean, getting it farther up does get rid of some of the shadow from the trees, but I still can't see a way that I'd get it above all of the trees. And if you
Yeah.
have out of the circle that it has allowed to it, if you have just a little bit of the circle blocked, the way that it connects, every 15 seconds you'll lose your connection for half a second, which is just enough to ruin your day.
Yeah. Right. Right.
And I don't understand why. I think there's probably some software they can do, like don't look over there, and that'll take care of it. But who knows?
Yeah. 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 Because see, that was the thing in our event. We had a number of radios all on just about every band you can think of. And the main bands we were running were 40, 20, and 15, which are harmonically related.
Right.
But we were spread out. I mean, um, I don't think there was any radio anyway, uh, more than like 30 to 40 feet from another radio. So, and with that, we didn't get any problem. When we run at field day, we're, in a more compact area, and then we have to have bandpass filters. So, and I actually brought out my bandpass filters thinking we were going to need them, and I never even used them. What they want bandpass filters, so I can run FT8 on 20 meters, and he can do CW on 20 meters, and then this guy can do SSB on 20 meters. Well, I've never seen bandpass filters that can do that. Be neat if they did, but
There's a lot of work there. I mean, because it's when you're that close to the other radio, it's not just the band itself. It's also just the energy in the air. I mean, you're inside
yeah,
of the radiation footprint. I forget what they call it, but we were trying to do FT8 at our field day location, and our vertical antenna, we kind of set the radio on a table on top of the ground plane. So that was kind of a pain in the butt.
yeah.
It wasn't intentional, but it was like we were inside of a building, and the building had a metal shield around the outside of it because it's a stucco building. So I'm sure the antenna coupled with the stucco grating that goes inside of the stucco. So we were right inside of that.
Yeah, I've had problems. The most problems I've had with stuff like that is with my Buddy Stick Pro. I don't know why, but that one it couples with just anything that's nearby, and I didn't get it tuned well until I got out in the middle of the forest that time with Mike and Shane. Because here at the house, I've got a metal gate, which is not that big, but and then there there's sewer pipe running underneath the ground. That's the only stuff like that that was just killing it. I couldn't get it to tune, and when we got it out to the forest, it tuned no problem. But fortunately, our field day site is we're at the EOC, and we set out in the uh, back of the EOC our antennas, but they're not enough room to get them far enough apart that we don't have a little bit of like bleed over. So, but yeah, it we had a lot of things going on at field day, and we were able to get by, but we ran bandpass filters. So
excellent. If you are just joining the stream now, there is a link in the Toads Discord and the Nuggets channel to join the stream and chat with us about POTA this weekend, or ask any questions that you have. Don and I both went out and did POTAs this weekend. Had a blast.
mm-hmm.
So
yeah, for me it was like field day because the whole club was out there.
Yeah, our field day, we wind up hanging out and eating, but we go through the process of building a lot of antennas, and then we set up the antenna, and then we don't really operate much. So I'm thinking that for the upcoming Wisconsin QSO party, that I want to set up an operating station for that and like purposely work the contest. One person logs, one person operates, and then switch back and forth.
Yeah, that's the thing. By the time I got home, with all because I brought several radios, a bunch of I brought out the 50-foot mast and the tripod, and then the silly thing was that I probably shouldn't say that. Shouldn't say that on stream. Somebody might see. But I used a specific thing I probably shouldn't talk about in order to weight the antenna down. Or the tripod down.
Okay.
Because I couldn't find a rock. But anyway, so it was. It wasn't being used at the time because I was not, there. So, but anyway,
it was an ICOM 7300. That's what you were weighing down the mast with.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Ask Shane how well that works.
Yeah, no, that's the. Well, I had that 50-foot mast up, and I had one of the toppers on it, and that's what I used so when I put my antenna up, it's like at the very top of that mast.
Right.
And I did not go up 50 foot. I only went up about 25, 30 foot. But when I put it up, there's no wind at all. And I walked over and I'm starting to, get my radio going and getting the coax run and all of that. And all of a sudden I said, oh, look, and it's coming down, and there's no, and it hit the concrete. Of course, the mast doesn't care, but the topper was a little bit hurt on that.
Which brand and chemistry of mast is this?
Carbon fiber.
Carbon fiber. Is it the gigaparts or is it the buddy pole?
It's the gigaparts.
Gigaparts mast. Okay, cool. Yeah, they're both really high quality masts.
By the way, DX Engineering is now making them too.
Oh, cool.
And they look a little bit different than the gigaparts ones, but they're still just as proud of them as gigaparts is. Although I've got three of the carbon fiber masts, 50, 34, and 25. And then I've got two of the fiberglass ones, and they're just uh, absolutely. I mean, I'm so happy with them, really. Um, and if you look at the video I released not long ago, where the storm video, um, if the very first picture, the thumbnail on that shows the fiberglass mast like in a 60-mile-an-hour wind. Literally, there was a 60-mile-an-hour gust that was coming through. I knew that thing was going to snap, and it didn't. It survived. The tree did not. So, um, the carbon fiber masts in that 60-mile-an-hour wind, that one was fiberglass. The carbon fibers did not move. They didn't
Wow.
even bend. And I have that 34 foot at 34 feet. So all the
And
sectors.
you've got your hamstick dipole at the top of that?
No, not on that one. I have the Ed Fong J pole and a ardent node. We've got an
Okay.
ardent node there. So it doesn't have a lot of wind. Oh no! Now I've also got an in-fed half wave connected to it. So there's three things on it. But yeah, no guys. And if you watch the video. But if you watch the video, you'll see that basically I had one of those stupid things. Yeah, here it is. I've got these things.
Okay. The
That's
bongo
what I
ties.
use. Yeah, I use those to tie it to my fence rails. My fence rails, that I have a privacy fence and I have a fence rail, and I use those around the fence rail around the mast. And those are metal poles that are sunk 3 foot in the ground, concreted in, and they're every 8 foot for every section of the wooden fence. But so I've got like three different masts going down my driveway.
Hmm.
And they just have a couple of these suckers on there, and
All
65
the kids in
mile
the
an hour.
neighborhood call you the crazy old radio man.
Yeah. Oh, the other day I was driving out of my driveway and there were some people walking down the alley and they looked up at all the antennas and stuff because you can't see them. I have trees on the neighbors, right at the neighbor's yard, and then I've got trees all along the back, and then I've got trees in the front of my house. So you don't see them until you just walk right by at my driveway, and it's like, oh. So, but yeah, those people had some really strange looks on their faces. Anyway,
Yep. So I had one person come by and look at the antenna. I had one of the masts tied into the picnic table, and then the other one was tied to the back of the trailer or tied to the ladder. And so nobody noticed that one. But the one on the picnic table was front and center. So I kind of wish I was sitting outside so they could ask me what was going on and I could work some contacts and stuff, and that would be pretty cool, trying to get more people interested. But was on a mission.
Yep, that's right. And we had a guy. It was the oddest thing because I mean we were staring at him as much as he was staring at us. But he comes in on like one of those, and I mean large bicycle type tricycles, and he's
Yeah.
pedaling away on it. And he looked around at at all of the guys, and then he pulled at the end of the deal where he had to turn around to come back on the trail, and there was a station there, and he stopped and just like he was real interested in what we were doing. And the guy down there was telling him, how to get started in ham radio, told him about the club, and if he wants to come out, and we'll be glad to help him, whatever he needs, and told him, what he was doing specifically, and the guy listened to the radio for a few minutes, and stuff, and then he turned around and pedaled away.
Yeah, I try to tell people everything except for the test. I don't want to say, you have to have a license, you have to have a test, you have to. No, just hey, come over, sit down, work the bands, talk to us, and come join the club and come operate the radios, because you can operate a radio without a license as long as you're in the presence of the station control operator.
Right.
And so get them hooked. And that was one of the things that got my kids hooked, was they got tired of writing my call sign in the logs and wanted their own call sign. That's when they want to go take the test, as opposed to, oh, another homework assignment, So make it, put the carrot out there, and they'll find their own way to it.
Yeah, this guy that was out there that with us, and I mean, he was out there. He didn't bring his radios or anything. I think his dad owns his radio, or owns the radios, so he didn't really have a radio. He did have his laptop, and he came out, and like I said, as soon as I got my 12 to 15 contacts, whatever it was, he jumped on and said, "Hey, can I do digital modes?" And I said, "Sure." And I thought he meant FT8 or something. But man, he was on there doing PSK and all that. And he's maybe a junior in high school, if he's that old.
Wow.
And he is just like digital modes. I want to do HF digital modes, but I don't want to do FT8. I want to do everything else. And he didn't know about JS8 call. I told him about JS8. So he's going to try JS8. Because I was telling him, on the features of JS8 where you can do message forwarding and all of the kinds of, nifty little things inside JS8 besides just sending message or typing stuff in and having it send. So he was going to try that too, but he didn't have any way. He was going to download it, but he didn't have any way of downloading it out in the park. So, hey, Jim.
Hey. Good evening, y'all.
Good evening, Jim. Anybody that guessed blue, you guys win the prize for tonight.
I got to wear a shirt. I mean, whatever.
We're glad that you wear a shirt. We're very happy that you wear a shirt.
I can.
No, you can't.
Don's showing a fair amount of skin there. I mean, I can compete with Don.
Yeah, this thing doesn't button very well.
I have work shirt. I have dress shirts for work, and I have fire department T-shirts. It's like the only two kinds of shirts I own, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
mean shirts and dirty shirts.
I suspect that's the IT security uniform right there.
Yeah. Actually, it is. Yes, and I have a minion. And Don, you give me a harsh buzz about the IT security thing. We also do network security and VoIP telephones and all that too. But
network security is IT security.
Oh, yeah, we'll go with that.
We'll make it happen.
I have one minion, and occasionally we don't phone each other, but there have been days when we're both wearing the same color shirt and khaki pants, and it kind of frightens the muggles when we show up like that.
Yeah,
I do like to walk around with an empty box every so often and just randomly stop at cubicles and look at the faces that creates. That's good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we're from IT. We're here to help.
No, we're from InfoSec with a box. Guess where you're going?
Yeah. It was nice working with you.
So what's the count? What is the count?
1,022.
Yes, I live vicariously through your POTA experience.
That was fantastic. It was fantastic.
That's great.
Did I make the kilo? The answer to the question, did I make the kilo, Hayden? Welcome. Is yes, I officially made the kilo in my own mind. Now I have to seek the POTA God's approval and get past the duplicates problem. So I'm going to work a couple more hours tomorrow morning. I'm going to do some more FT8 in the morning and then pack up everything and head back. And that should give me enough of a buffer that when they complain about you worked this guy 7 times on the same band during the same hour, I can go, yeah, I know. Why did
that guy
200 contacts?
That guy.
Yeah.
So apparently you were saying there was a couple people that were just kept
within less than 3 minutes. Yeah. Like, how did you not recognize the voice, the frequency, the call sign, the park number? Mm-hmm. Thanks for the activation. You're welcome. Didn't you do this? Didn't you get this contact in your logs like 3 seconds ago?
So they could have been using that automatic thing too, right?
Well, maybe? No, this was on SSB also.
Oh, on voice. Okay.
This is on voice. Yeah. So I dropped the log into our back channel of this one guy that contacted me within less than 3 minutes. And I was like, okay. And he had just as much personality the first time as he did the second time. He told the same joke both times, but it was personality nonetheless.
Did you harsh his buzz? Dude, I just talked to you, man.
No, I learned a long time ago it's easier just to work the duplicates than it is to complain about them.
That's probably true. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot less time and it's a lot less headaches in your own head. So I want to say thank you very much to Phil across the pond, new member. Welcome,
Woo-hoo.
Phil.
Thank you, Phil.
Nice.
So, and if
We have a couple
Jim,
Phils in here now too, don't we?
Play the music, Phil. If you can play the music, Jim, I'd dance.
I'm heading toward the music now. Stand by for music. Once I find it amongst all this
awesomeness.
That's not the right music.
No, it's all the way down the bottom.
All the way. Okay, there we go. There we go.
Oh, we got
Don dancing too.
I have no idea.
Don, you think I know what I'm doing? I don't dance, man. I'm Baptist, man. People think I'm dancing if I'm moving around too much.
Then you have to stop it, Jim.
Yeah.
I did. I got it.
Awesome.
He needs some milk. He needs some milk. He needs some milk.
Okay, I didn't know that was on a loop.
That's why I said you have to stop it. But you said you got it, so
I stopped the music. I didn't know we were looping. Okay, I got you. They're all on a loop. Tenfold.
Yeah, they're all on a loop. Yeah.
So, T.O., what's the rest of your statistics then?
What statistics would you like to know?
How many DX contacts? What's the furthest DX contact?
I don't have that broken down because I got the 1,000th contact like 5 minutes before I had to get in the car to come out here to join the stream.
Oh, okay.
I've got to join all 4 logs together, and then I've got to run the deduper, and then I've got to play around with the QRZ. But I did make a contact. I made my first voice contact into Alaska. Nice. I made my first voice contact to Spain, and our friend Bo, the Lion Hawaiian, was saying that when you work that guy in Spain, they'll get on the local repeater and tell all their friends, and all of them will jump on and work you. So I worked like 4 Spain stations back to back to back.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
I've never worked a Spain station on voice before. So when he came over saying Echo Alpha, I was like, Italy Alpha? Kilo Alpha? November? What Alpha? Alpha Alpha? No, Echo Alpha. Oh, crap, that's Spain. Oh, wow. Oh, man. All right, hang on. All right, so we got this. Oh, man. And then the Charlie with a Spanish accent, a legitimate from Spain Spanish accent, is amazing. I won't even do it the injustice of trying to pronounce it myself, but I took Spanish in high school. I can roll my R's, but I can't roll my R's the way they can roll their R's. Even Carlos would be embarrassed to try it.
So how many besides the Spanish QSOs? You said you had other countries too, or just Spain?
Yeah. I had Brazil, I had Cuba, I had a couple of stations in the Caribbean, a couple of Italy stations. I worked Stuart. Stuart was at a park, M0TTQ. He's one of the toads. Yep. He was at a park. Yep. So I dropped down to 15 meters and worked him and put in a ton of extra effort to get through the noise and made it happen. I don't have a count for park-to-park stations yet. Some stations came through park-to-park and then faded out right when they gave me their park number. But I have a feeling, I have a very strong suspicion, because I used to be a programmer in a past life, that the computer system will figure all of that out all by itself. So
maybe.
I think it's funny when hunters ask me for my park number. Like I don't know what they're doing with that bit of information.
They're tracking how many individual parks they're running.
Well, that's actually a very excellent point. I never knew what to do with that.
New one. I think they put it in their log. They put it in their log, and then they go, "Oh, hey, thanks for a new park." I'm like, how the hell do you know it's a new park?
I mean, I wouldn't call myself a hunter. If I'm playing with voice and I hear, I'll get on the POTA app and look occasionally, right? And say, "Oh, hey, there's somebody I can probably hear." And I'll put the park in like the comment field, but there's no log field in QRZ to put park number. So I was like, I don't know what to do with this really.
I put it.
So there's what we call in the software business, there's a single source of truth. And that single source of truth is POTA.app. If you go there, even if you don't believe you've ever worked a park contact before, if you go there and type in your call sign, I bet you have probably 2 or 3 awards just incidentally, just by making an FTA contact here and there, or a CW contact or anything like that. And so it'll tell you what parks you've worked on that website, I believe. I need to go check that, but I believe it'll tell you which ones you've worked as a hunter.
I'll pull that up.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, Jim, if you type in Smoking Apes call sign, you'll see all the parks that he's hunted.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right.
I'm
You
looking
don't
at that
know.
right now.
KT0.
Right, exactly. So I'm going to drop the club's call sign in. I did not use the club's call sign while I was on the air, but I will put it in as part of the upload because Joseph, VE3GKT, came down from Canada to use it this weekend, and I didn't want to interfere with that. So we'll have the club's first kilo award. We'll have my first kilo award, and then we'll have Joseph's activations from this weekend also.
Yeah. Well, I mean, multiple.
So is there anything you want to talk about with this website, Steve?
Oh,
Yeah, type your call
ZL1BKT?
sign into the search box.
Rolly's on.
I tried to work Rolly. I'll type my call sign in. That works too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to catch
Then you'll
Rolly the other
see-
night, and I never could get him.
You'll see Hunter QSOs in there, and it should tell me which parks I've worked in. You can see I've got a bunch of awards yet, and I do parks on the air when I get around to it, when I'm not making videos and not working and not
Right, living.
doing all of my other thousands of responsibilities I have to do. So this is what you get when you're a lazy Parks on the Air activator or a lazy Parks on the Air hunter. And one of the things I do is I prefer to work my Morse code practice on Parks on the Air station. So I've got a bunch of CW QSOs in there.
I've got one.
Let's see what let's judge Dawn.
Yeah, sure.
N5 SKT.
Holy smoly!
Yeah. Well, I enjoy it, so I
Oh, it's
Oh, I
awesome.
mean, you got a bunch of Hunter awards too. You have a
Yeah.
kilo. Did you know that?
Yeah, I have a kilo. Yeah, I worked it specifically at the park we were at this weekend. Now I didn't do it this weekend.
Okay.
It took me 6 months to do that. Going
Yeah,
out.
there's
to
no
the
such thing as an
Balls.
accidental kilo. You don't accidentally get a kilo.
No, Frank's working on his at a different park, and I'm going to start working on a kilo at that park. That DX Hunter, though, the DX Hunter's new for me.
It won't let me click on those. I can't.
I don't know what that's for, but
Well, I was hoping I could click on it and read it, but it doesn't.
are you logged in? Yeah, I think you have to log in.
Okay, well, I got to log in. Let me log in then. Y'all don't look at my password.
Yeah. IT security wouldn't like that. See if you can click on it now.
My account request has
That's
been
awesome,
rejected
Andy.
for approval. What?
Just use a different email address or log in with Google.
Why I think it logged me in.
You'll have your
I'm-
name in the upper right-hand corner with your icon if you haven't changed it.
Well, it says sign out.
So you signed in.
Thought so.
Yeah.
I bet I logged in with Google one time. That's probably why they're fussing.
Yeah.
I know what that is. Yeah.
That's what they do with me is
Because I was probably too lazy to actually do it. There we go.
See, we're gonna do a live demonstration on nuggets after all. Don,
I know, I didn't.
Jim working the POTA website.
I'm glad Don was here. I felt a little bad. My wife and I've got my daughter with me tonight because we have to go to the orthodontist tomorrow in Birmingham. And she's like, "What, don't you have a stream to go on?" I said, Steve's got it.
Yeah, we got this. I'm a professional streamer.
I said, I'm just a sidekick.
Make that happen.
My account is now active. Okay. Jeez.
Excellent. So now you can start checking your awards, Jim.
Well, we did that on stream a couple months ago when we had Jocelyn on here, I think.
Yeah.
Well, you might have gotten some more.
Yeah, I still can't
I
click
swear,
on
every time I heard a West Virginia accent, I thought it was going to be James, ham radio adventure guy.
Right.
You want to talk about accents in America, you get to figure them all out real quick in a weekend of 1,000 contacts.
See, if I ever accidentally talk to Ape on the radio, that bomber accent of his, boy, it'd be like, I know who that is. I do have awards. Look at that.
Support your parks weekend, Hunter.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, if I remember, I'm very, very what's the word, Steve, that you use? Casual, I guess, about it. I just,
Casual POTA hunter.
I think
casual POTA hunter.
if you click on your name and go down to like your stats, it tells you a whole bunch of stuff about it.
Right
Joe
here?
Brett's funny.
No,
Joe Brett, thanks for all the help.
in the upper right corner. No, on over where the little guy is. Yeah, click on that. Should
Oh,
bring
that's
everything.
giving me a sign out.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, maybe the hamburger menu. Yeah, there you go. Go. You can click on something like my statistics or something.
So Cape Cod CNC is asking, what's after the kilo? So the bigger plan was I was trying to get to a park where I had enough internet access to do a live Parks on the Air activation during a Nuggets show. We didn't have enough internet access to do that. But if I was going to a campground that I would have to be at after dark, and I have to pay for the campsite, I might as well camp there for the weekend. If I'm going to camp there for the weekend, I might as well do a kilo. So I don't know. I think I'm going to do some winter activations from the car. And winter activations from the car in northwest Wisconsin are pretty serious. I got out one time last year to do an activation, and all I wound up doing was getting the antenna tuned, and I was too frozen to do anything else and went home.
Ham sticks.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I was doing the buddy stick. I have the buddy pole, which you can easily make into a buddy stick if you have enough ham sense about you, if you ham hard enough. And so I did that, and then by the time it was done, I was frozen, and I'm like, I'm leaving. I couldn't move my mouth anymore. Too hot.
Yeah. Well, my ham sticks are pre-tuned, so I don't have to tune them or do anything. I just have to get out and screw them into the mag mount, and that's it. And generally, I've got the radio already sitting here, screwed into the coax. So that's the one effort I have to do, and then I'm on the air.
I have this.
So
I had this grand plan of using that Alpha FMJ antenna set up.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Those are nice.
But I haven't been to a park with it yet.
I worry about piercing the paint in Wisconsin because the last thing I need is another source of rust on my vehicle, and rust is a huge plague in Wisconsin.
Right.
Cars up here are really interesting. They're either really old and in pristine condition, or they're like middle-aged, like 80s and 90s cars in pristine condition, or they're like 5 years old and absolutely falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
But Wisconsin doesn't do safety inspections, and they don't do emissions, and they don't really have to because there aren't that many old cars that wouldn't be considered classic cars.
The salt, man, the salt.
It does. It's bad up here.
What could you put a tri-mag on the top of your car and leave it?
I could, but that over the long term that does some damage to the paint too.
Yeah, I haven't had any. I've had mine on for a year now.
I bought a tri-mag to use on my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I discovered that the roof of the 2019 Ford F-150 ain't ferrous.
No.
Yeah.
Aluminum.
Most of that truck should be aluminum.
Yeah, there's almost nothing on that body that's magnetic in any way.
Yeah, that's.
It sucks.
I know. Yeah,
I can't mount anything anywhere without drilling. And I don't live in salt heaven like Steve does, but I don't really want to drill into. That's thousands of dollars of resale value.
Mm-hmm.
Right through the hole.
I think the drilling would be less damage than, scraping the paint and interfacing with the metal.
Mm.
But, the Wisconsin problem will be gone here not too long. The Wisconsin winter problem will be gone in not too long. So.
Right.
Mm.
So your contacts were, what's your FT8 to phone ratio that you did this weekend? I tried to get you on FT8 a couple times, and we could never sync up.
I have 390 some FT8 contacts. I don't have my laptops with me. I have about three. Well, hang on. Let me think. It's still in the calculator. Yeah. So 395 FT8 contacts, and the rest were sideband.
Wow.
And sideband's faster. I don't know if that's a product of 100 watts or if it's a byproduct of being able to jam them out as a experienced operator. I won't brag about how awesome of an operator I am, but there is some operator skill involved in getting them out fast.
Well, you're not on a fixed time frame either with sideband, right? I mean, you can potentially get 2 or 3 contacts in that 30-second
15 seconds.
FT8 handshake time, right?
That's
if everything goes well, I can probably do 10 contacts for every 1 contact. But everything has to line up. And POTA, it actually does create that perfect storm pretty frequently. You'll get enough of a pile up for enough of a duration that you can just bang out the contacts.
Yeah. Have you guys ever watched Mike or Shane like do their contest thing where they're competing with each other? Because Mike every once in a while will say in his videos, "Oh, I got 36 contacts in 11 minutes or something like that."
K8 MRG, Mike?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Because he's like, "Oh, yeah, you're 5'9". Oh, okay. And right on to the next one. And I actually, when I'm getting into a rhythm on a pileup, I can do that too. And it's not something that I do. You almost feel pressure to do it. I need to get on the next guy because every time I call QRZ, there's like 40 people trying to get me. They're all waiting out there. I need to get on. I need to move. So you get a little faster whether you intend to do it or not.
See, not that I've ever had a pileup, but I would probably run a recorder on the radio or standalone because I don't think I could keep up with call signs well enough.
Well, you got to.
Yeah, you do need free hands.
Yeah, on SSB, you really need to make sure that you got the call sign right.
Right.
So when you're talking to them, I like to type it in so I can read it back to them to make sure I've got it in correctly.
And see, that's probably that's a real good idea because I know you guys as call signs because I talk to you more than once a week, but like you're hearing weird call signs that you've never heard before, and
right.
Yeah, I'd want to.
So what I'll do is I will say the call sign as I'm typing it in. So I'll say Kilo November 4 Yankee Charlie Delta 59 Minnesota, and then if you come back and say negative and correct the call sign, I'll correct it. But otherwise, you've got my signal report, you've got my state, my QTH. You know that I know your call sign, so it's up to you to give me your signal report. And when you do that, I'll say, thank you for the 5-7 Alabama. Thank you for the contact 73. And that's like, I'm done with you. And I've told you I'm done with you very politely. 73 means best regards. And I've said, thank you. I've done the polite thing, but I've told you I'm done. I haven't said, all right, 5-9 Alabama, copy that. At which point you're like, I don't know what to say. And then we start this inadvertent rag chew. You have to be very deliberate about what you say. So thank you for the contact 73, unclick the mic. You say 73, I click the mic, Kilo Mike 9 Golf QRZ, and I'm right back into the next contact. So that's that kind of skill that I was talking about. And like I said, I'm not the best. There are better than me. But being very deliberate in your thought process of how you want the QSO to go and being in control of the QSO because you are the control operator. You're the one that's in charge of that. And the same thing with working pileup stations. I'm not the best. When I was in Ohio, there was a guy who was working a pileup and like 8 people contacted him and he got all 8 of their call signs correct without asking them a second time. And it was amazing. I was in awe. I just sat there and just watched him for a while. And I don't know, because I watched the radio. I listened to the radio with my eyeballs because he was on the other end of the contact. And I'm like, I know he's going to call my name. I know he's going to, and then he called my name. And I said, 5-9 Westchester, Ohio. Thanks for the contact. He said, 73 KN4 YCD, your turn. What? How did you get all 8 call signs?
Did you see those kids that were doing contest training, and this guy would play a pileup for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then he would call on each one of the kids and have them call back how many call signs there. or read back some of the call signs that they heard. And I mean,
Right.
it was amazing, and they kept getting better and better and better. And they were doing like 8 or 10 call signs after a thing. And so the reason for that apparently was in a contest. You sit there, you listen for a second while all these guys are piling in on you, and then you go back to each one in order, just really quickly, just pushing their call signs back at them with a signal report and writing them down in the log and letting them come back, and give you the exchange or whatever. But you've got all these guys already pre lined up in your head, and I was like, man,
Now I got to say, from the not POTA side, I guess I'm a hunter then.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I'm so casual about it. I don't even consider myself a hunter. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to do some phone, and I'll pull up POTA app to see if I can catch somebody doing phone somewhere. Usually,
well,
but I do like doing POTA calls because usually those guys don't want to jibber jabber, right? They're trying to make contacts, like Steve, with his goal this week, and ain't nobody got time for that, and that's why I love doing POTA calls because
It's understood that there's no rag
you,
chew.
sweetie.
Yes, sir.
Right. We're not talking about bunions and
right. Well,
my barista.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what's cool about that. And of course, FT8 is FT8.
Well,
Also no rag chews, but
I do play by ear a lot of times, even if I'm running a pile up and somebody comes in and they want to chat for a second, I'll do it. But I very often I'm not. And there's a couple of guys though that I know, if K7 SEN comes in, it's like, hey Neil, what's going on? And I mean, he's a hunter, and he's gonna exchange with me quickly unless I, hey Neil, how's it going? Haven't heard you in a while, whatever. And then they'll come back, and then there's the other guy in Alaska, in NL7, and I can't remember his last letter, but yeah, I'm always like, oh man, it's such a great thing for you to work me today. I really always appreciate working Alaska. Thanks for digging, because usually he's giving me a 3-3, and I'm like, thanks for digging me out of the noise,
So real quick, Mike, the barista is Jim's daughter. She is single. She is cute, and there are no pictures of her.
She's 11, and her dad is old with lots and lots of guns and no fear of prison.
It's totally all right, Mike. We know you didn't know, but I just wanted to call you out on that one.
I told him, I said, she's 11 and her dad's an old man without fear of prison. We don't need to go there, Mike. I have a lot of respect for the guys that do a lot of POTA. Mm-hmm. I'm not nearly motivated enough to drive to the few official POTA parks around here to do that on a regular basis. Now I might do some this winter. I really need to do it a couple times, but
I will give you a big bonus tip that you might not have thought of, Jim. It is perfectly legal for you to take off work at lunch to get away from your coworkers,
evil overlord,
drive to the park, or the minion that he has adopted. Drive to the local park. Never leave your car. Activate the park, get your 10 contacts, and go back to work. Your station can be completely within the car, completely set up. You can be in your air conditioning, running your no problems.
Well, the problem is there's no park within that kind of range of my office for lunch trips.
Okay.
The closest official park to me is the Lowndes County Wildlife Management Area, which is chain link fence, a ranger trailer, and a sign that said, "You'll get shot past here, and there's wild hogs and coyotes. Go with God."
Oh, cool.
So there's literally no park. It is a gravel road off of a main county road and a ranger trailer, and that's it. And you're there. No swing sets, no picnic tables, no electric.
As long as you believe you're within the boundaries of the park, you're within the boundaries of the park.
Yeah.
It's on your honor.
Yeah,
right.
There's a wildlife management area like that near me, and but there's no guard there. There's just this fence that you can't drive through.
Right. That's what's there.
Opening, but to park, you pull up into the fence. Well, The park actually starts out back beyond that, where the fence turns in to form this little thing. So the minute you're in there, you're golden. So
Right.
I just stuck the ham stick on there and sat in there. And then I watched bow hunter after bow hunter after bow hunter walking off down there in the distance. I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't get out of it.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of feral hogs over there.
Mhm.
So that's usually what it's like, open season on feral hogs all the time, I believe,
yeah.
in Alabama. I've never gone after them. I do like pork, but so there's always
pretty
somebody
normal.
over there hunting. So
Yeah, this friend of mine used to. He lives south of here quite a ways, and he has a couple acres behind him, and he actually builds a trap, and he traps them, and the big ones come up, and he just kills them, and has them butchered. But the little piglets,
bacon.
they gather them up, and they sell those to farmers
Nice.
who actually raise them.
Who raise them
Yeah. Mhm.
to grow for bacon. Yes.
Yes.
Bacon
And-
seeds, yeah.
And bacon seeds and Boston butts for
Yeah.
barbecuing. That's right. Yeah.
I mean, he
It's my
gets
favorite
enough-
part of the pig, the Boston butt, aka the front shoulder.
I don't understand whoever named that. I'm like, really? I never have got that. When I learned that, I was like, wait, what? I thought it was the butt. Phil said to activate the chain link fence, and that is not a bad idea, Phil. If the ranger doesn't yell at me about it,
Don't see why you would even care. But
There were all kinds of rules in my park about putting stuff in the ground and putting antennas in trees and transporting firewood and all kinds of stuff, but then they don't enforce any
Really?
of them. So
So they specifically fussed about antennas in trees?
they have their official policy, and then they have their what they actually do,
yeah,
and they don't actually do anything.
at Texas state parks, supposedly you're not supposed to put anything in the ground, and I think that throwing something in a tree is okay, but putting something in the ground. Now, this place that I go to, it is not a state park, but it is a sanctioned wildlife area. And the sanctioned wildlife area is controlled by a group of volunteers, and they take donations. So it's just this big open area. So they don't have rules like that.
Steve, you just did at Huntsville.
Yeah,
And I did not do a park on the air at Huntsville because I'm Sketchy McSleazeball, I guess. You just did 2 meter park on the air in Huntsville, right?
Yeah, I did that at Huntsville, and I also did it at Hamcation in Orlando. We all went over to a local park, and there was about 11 of us, and we just passed 2 handy talkies around and got the park activated. So
Right.
I did that more as a, like, hey, you can do this kind of thing. So that was pretty fun. I did have to do it on 2 meters and 70 centimeters, though, just to up the pressure.
And you had a pretty good contact on 2 meters. You had like, what, 40 miles away or something on 2 meters?
I don't have the official distance, but I was on the top of my when the person on the other end of the contact was on the outside of Huntsville. He was heading into Huntsville and hadn't gotten there yet. And so I did a quick Google map and looked at it, and it was, 20 or 30 miles away, which isn't impossible for a handy talkie on a rubber duck, but it's certainly extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, you had some altitude. I mean, we were
It's all line of
1,600
sight.
feet in the air.
Yeah. So we had a clear line of sight path, and he was probably doing most of the work at 50 watts and better antenna.
You know what I never did find out is what side of the mountain we were on in relation to
The top
everything.
side.
Which side?
The top side.
I thought that's what you said. I was
The upside.
why I asked. I have no idea.
You never know.
Joe
what you're
Brett
gonna
said
get.
he
No,
got
you know exactly
Tennessee.
what you're gonna get.
Last year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't know. We're fairly close to Tennessee. That's probably 40 miles, I would guess. I'd have to look at a map. That's excellent. That's really good. So So what was your radio setup this weekend? Because I know you had plans, but you were going to do SO2R and that didn't work out.
Right. Yeah, so I use the ICOM 7100, and I got to say, I really like that radio. The AT180 tuner, I brought it with me. I didn't need it. I brought it with me, and I find it interesting I want to tear this thing apart and see how it works, because it doesn't seem to work the way that other auto tuners work. And all the lights in the parking lot just went out. Sorry. But the radio was fantastic. The little control head unit was great. I think that it's got a better layout than the 7300. Things are more accessible. I don't miss the waterfall, but I was also activating, not hunting. And now that I'm farther into my ham career, I think, I can live without a waterfall. Whereas in the beginning, I was absolutely blind in multiple different directions when it came to operating a HF radio, and the waterfall was a definite crutch to help me get more skilled. But now I don't know that I would need it as much. So that's really the only thing that it's missing compared to the 7300 is the color screen and the waterfall. It's got everything else plus 2 meters plus digital voice. So
I did not know the 7100. Oh, 7100. No, now I know which one you're thinking about. I was thinking about that one you've got, Don. What is that? The 7000. Yeah.
Well, I have a 7100 too, but a 7000.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
And an 857. But anyway,
okay. So what did you think of that screen, Steve?
So you had the 5100. The 5100 screen looks like it's made of liquid, and it's like gravity has taken its toll, and
kind of like my ex-wife.
Well, right. The 7100 screen is a dot matrix LCD, and it's great. It's sharp. It's crisp. It's got a good viewing angle to it. It doesn't have that "I look like I'm bleeding" thing that the 5100 does. So I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually traded my 5100 in for the 7100 because I like the screen better, and then I get HF and but
right. I just when he got a 7100, I was like, whoa, it's a piece of junk. That screen sucks. But apparently, it's not the same screen.
No.
Yeah, I got it to put it in the car eventually. Because right now the only thing I'm running in the car is a 705 because it's stupid easy to put a 705 in a car. You just plug an antenna in and plug it into the cigarette lighter. So I got the 7100 to do the next level and get me 100 watt HF and mobile and all that kind of jazz. And it's a smaller package than carrying the 891 plus the tuner plus the FTM 400 to get kind of the same functionality.
Did you put the GPS on it?
On the 7100, no.
Yeah. I've got a GPS on mine.
Is it an internal module?
No, it's external. You just like take an off-the-shelf. It's almost an off-the-shelf GPS.
Is the GPS in the radio, Don? You just have to put on an antenna, or do you have to get a GPS?
You have to get a GPS, like a dongle. It's not a dongle that you actually use. It's one of those pucks. There's and unfortunately the plans that I have for it in what I built was actually it's a puck style deal, but it is a $68 part. So it's not one of those $12 pucks.
Right.
But you put a couple of wires on that thing and you plug it into the 7100 and boom, it's seeing it.
Studio lights.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I am literally, this is my first experience with the 7100. I got it. I put power poles on it. KO4 AFL sent me the 7610 power cord and kept the 7100 power cord for himself. So I had to put my own power poles on it. Jerk. Plugged it in, turned it on to make sure that it got a signal, put it in the box, and brought it to the campground. And this is my first experience using it. So I'm literally 5 days into this radio. So I know nothing about it other than shack in a box, cool for the car. This is pretty slick, and I appreciate the design of it. So we'll see how long that lasts.
And now
if you add the GPS on that, Don, does that would it let him follow D-Star repeaters down the road?
Yes, that's exactly why I put it on there.
Yeah,
and that was the thing I was going to say. By the way, it's got D-Star, so you can now do D-Star over HF.
Oh snap! You sure can. That's right.
Yes.
Yep. Is there
You
a
can
D
with
star
the
calling frequency too, Don, for simplex D star?
Yes, there is.
Do you
one.
know it?
No, not off the top of my head. But
Me neither. I thought there was one.
we looked up on somebody asked on the stream what the D star HF frequencies were, and there are listed D star frequencies, and there are D star HF nets. And by the way, if you ever want to do D star over HF, just talk to Rob M0JEO.
Okay.
And if you don't know who that is, Mike G0RFD, who's probably in the chat because I can't see the chat, we'll tell you who that is. Anyway.
Yeah, if you look for D star HF net, there's a whole bunch of stuff out there.
Yeah, not all of them are active. There's one specific one that's quite active, but I don't remember which one it is. But that's not the only thing. I mean, there is a D star simplex frequency. But yeah, you add the GPS, and then just like the 5100 or most of the G star or D star radios, it will follow, or you can do the find my closest repeater, which works, by the way, for analog too. It's not just D star.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, which I mean, to me, in all this modern world of radios, whether it be Yaesu or whatever, that includes a GPS in it, why the heck don't they do exactly like they're doing with G-Star, but do it automatically? You know, just like basically we do the same thing in telecom with cell sites, right? As you're driving along down the freeway,
Right.
It just
You're passing them off.
Yeah, passes
And
off.
been doing it for how long? Since the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is ham radio. We've got another 20 years to go.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, cell handoff's been around forever.
Yeah, the technology to do it.
That's where the word cell comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The technology for handoff is not that hard.
So are you going to keep the 705 in your car, Steve?
No, the 705 is not a powerful enough radio to be in the car with. It's only 10 watts max. So I'd have to get an amplifier and go crazy with antennas and switches and so on, and then it just becomes a complicated nightmare, and it's not worth the value of the color screen. Also, it's a heckin' chunker when it's in the car up by the dash.
Right. It says "Steal me, I'm cool." So you're going to keep the 7100 in the car then? Are you going to get an HF antenna? Is where I was going. Are you going to HF the rod?
Yeah, I'm going to do HF, but I'm not going to really do HF mobile because I really don't drive that much right now. That might change in the future when I get out of the salt belt. But for right now, I'm just going to go to a park and set up, but then the radio will be like in the car ready to roll.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's cool. I want to do something mobile at some point. I've talked to myself out of it a couple, 3 times because I don't POTA because there's not that much around here close by to POTA. But I think it would be cool to have that capability in the car. I just haven't ever.
Right.
Yeah. What you got to learn to do, Jim, is you got to learn to drive, have your HF radio on, have your CW key strapped to your deal, and sit there and have conversations.
Right.
I talked to a guy like that one time. It's like, how the hell are you doing that?
I'd have to learn how to send something more than SOS. I don't think I can get CQ pounded out exactly right either.
Well, I mean, think about it. That's all hit.
Once you get good at Morse code, you start hearing words instead of dits and dahs.
Right.
And there's already a couple of words. Like I can hear test, I can hear DX, a couple of words. I just know them instantly. Just like you know the word the, when I'm going to say the word the, you actually know that it's coming, and then you hear it, and you're like, yep, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was in the LICW, that was one of the things he kept telling us to do. Like, listen to the word. I'm going to start sending something. You listen to it, and I bet you figure out exactly what it is before I'm done sending it. And
Ape, I'm with you there, man. I have a limit on what I can eat, drive, and drink a soda, and all at the same time.
He said cold pop. The geolocation narrows down even more.
Right. I know where cold pop is at. And smoke. I thought you didn't smoke.
It was a joke, Jim.
It's the old Ape.
See, you're trying to OM his joke out of him, and it doesn't work that way. You can't tell a joke around a ham radio operator. They try to like overanalyze it, and like, no man, it was just face value. That's it. Just a joke.
So,
Especially if it's an antenna joke, they just start to correct you on the inductive reactance and the capacitive diractance of the antenna. Like, no man, just a joke, just a joke.
right. So, are you planning on doing another POTA weekend like this? Was this a Mr. and Mrs. T.O. weekend away in the camper thing, or was this a radio weekend that you had the old lady with you, or?
This was a radio weekend, and she came along and hung out, and she's a saint, bless her heart. It's fantastic.
Okay,
bless her heart in the Tennessee style, not the Alabama style, just to be sure.
It's the same. But
no, it's not. No,
he's wrong about that. I'm married to someone who's born here. She said, "Enough. We say bless your heart, we're calling you stupid."
No, that's the Alabama way. The Alabama way is you're a fool. The Tennessee way is, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. You're a compassionate, kind soul.
She meant it you meant it in the literal way, not the vernacular. Yeah. In any case,
I just needed to make sure I got that out, because if she's watching, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble. I'm probably in trouble anyway.
Ass kicked later, Mister. Yes. Outside in the wheel well for you tonight.
Yeah, my wife encourages me to explore my hobby, so that's fantastic. Yeah. And I think it's more out of competition. Like, she thinks I'm not spending as much money as she is, so she's like, you should buy another radio. Remember when Ape got the 599? I was like, man, Ape got a new radio, and Chuck got a new radio, and she's like, you should get yourself a new radio too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife was always like, well, of course she was an amateur anyway.
She was a ham, right?
Yeah, and she would, like, I still have the last radio that she wanted me to buy, and I bought it for her birthday, and then she wanted it in her van, so I have that one here. But like, I mean, long time back, I found out about Baofeng. The way I did was, hey, look at this thing that they just have on Amazon. Look, it's only $25. We need to get some of these. That was her. Because she was watching Amazon all the time. Oh, hey, look. They have these really inexpensive radios. And the truth is, I mean, this radio here, this is the first HT dual band HT I ever bought. And this thing was hundreds of dollars. But this was the Baofeng of its day, the Alinco 580, because Alinco was like the lower tier of the big three. But anyway, I mean, so she knew like what we paid for this thing. And so like Baofeng for $25, it does dual band for $25. So no, Don is not.
So
whatever,
Andy,
Don.
real quick, Andy's saying that his wife never tells him stuff like that. Andy, it's a very long con. It started back when I act like I don't like to spend money. I'm very frugal. I'm tight on a penny. I can turn on a dime and give you 9 cents change. I deliberate every purchase that I ever make. I recycle the milk from the cereal as my coffee creamer, that kind of stuff. So she just feels really bad for me, really, and it's just a long con, man. You gotta play the game from the very, very beginning.
Man, I hope none of our wives are watching this, because they just figured a whole lot of stuff out.
No.
I know my wife doesn't watch.
Mine is, well, she's not a ham, and she doesn't. I mean, she's like, whatever. Please don't make me look at it or watch YouTube videos on it with you. Thank you. You may go now. So.
Yeah, my wife was all about VHF, UHF. She had no use for HF. So all these radios that I have now are after she passed. But she tolerated me getting one HF radio, which I had and had it up back in the 90s to about 95. And then when we moved, no more HF antennas. I don't want to see them anymore. So she was that kind of. Now VHF, UHF. Oh yeah, you get up there on that roof and you get that antenna up there. But,
dude, you know why she wanted your ass on the roof, right?
Yeah.
She was hoping to cash in a policy.
Pro tip on the policy, Jim. You could take advantage of this. If you make your life insurance policy payable on death ex-wife, your current wife will jump in front of a moving train to make sure that doesn't get the money.
Ooh, good pro tip there.
Yeah.
I haven't had contact with mine in,
Life
Jesus,
shield.
15, 20 years, so I don't even know if she's dead or alive.
Right.
And either way, I'm fine with, so whatever. So did you use your 705 at all for anything? You were trying to rock it too some, weren't you?
Yeah, the 705 has been relegated to FT8 duty only because of the miracle of USB. My laptop is USB-C, my 705 is micro USB, and the 7100 is mini USB.
Okay, I'm still not following that whole train of thought.
I don't have the right USB cables to put the 705 back in the box and not use it and do 100-watt digital.
Okay.
So I have to have both radios. When I do digital, when there's commotion in the trailer, like dinner time, something like that, then I have to use the 705 because I can't do digital. I can't do digital on 7100 because I don't have the cable, not because it can't do it. It's got a built-in sound card. It's ready to roll out of the box, ready to go kind of thing. But I don't have that USB cable. I haven't made a 7100 Go box yet. Like I said, I'm 5 days into this radio, so don't have a pack. And it didn't fit in an ammo can. I got to figure out a good box for it, and I don't know what I'm doing about that tuner. I think that tuner is going down the road. I like it. I think it's elegant. I think it's neat. I'm going to tear it apart and look at it, but I don't see how it fits into my lifestyle. It's the AT180, and it's the same tuner that they used on the 706.
I have an MFJ on mine, as I recall. But when you want to do digital modes on there, be sure you get a really high quality cable for that mini DIN, because I've had it's not that you get like RF on it, but the thing will cut out. Like it needs to stay in there good, and it also needs the toroids. So I've done FT8 with mine, mainly trying. One of the neat things again about that radio, of course, you can do it with any of them, but any of the Shack in the Box, but you can do 2 meter FT8 on it.
Just look at this. Just look at this. Just look at that. I think Mike's making a reference to a video about this guy checking out a used car. If not, then nobody got the joke, and that's okay. It's like 5 of us have seen this video. Well, folks, we have reached the end of ham nuggets for Monday night. I got to get back to the campground and start packing things up and start the apology train for making my wife suffer through that all weekend long. It's been fantastic hanging out with all of you folks on the chat and with Jim and Don on the stream. And next Monday, we will do another nuggets thing. I'll be back in the ham shack, and we'll have to figure out something to build or experiment with together.
Are we going to think about it before Monday night, or are we going to do our usual thing of Monday afternoon? We'll come up with a plan.
So you know how Saturday Night Live did the cold open for each of their episodes? We don't do a cold open. We do a cold hour-and-a-half show. Yeah. Sometimes takes 2.5 hours.
You can always get a new case for your Raspberry Pi, right?
What is that thing you've got, Don? What is that?
That's an S-Bit X. See? Pi and Pi and the Raspberry Pi 4 and Raspberry Pi screen. That's all you got to put in it. If you want to get the kit, he sells these fully assembled. But it's an HF radio. So
Don's trying to start a new show.
Well, I think he is.
No,
head over to Don's channel.
Right, and Don will make a video on that thing because that looked interesting.
And Josh has 3 of them, but
Of course he does.
No, to me, it's a fun radio to play with, and I'm interested in the Pi and the whole programmability. But to me, the Hermes Lite is where it is, man. You can't beat that radio.
If the Hermes Lite was a Pi hat.
K-Murder wants to notice that Julian Fries.
There's a Hermes Lite Pi hat called a Radio Berry, but they're almost impossible to get now.
I was going to say, I've heard of the Radio Berry, but I didn't think it was in existence anymore.
No, it's not, because they're trying to fake people out, making them think that it was, but it's not available. I have one, but they're not. They never came with a power amplifier, and so while it will transmit, it's very, very low power output. It's just much better as a SDR, because like with the Hermes Light, with you change the firmware on the chip, and you can do 11 slices at once. So it's an SDR or an SDR dongle like you've never seen, and it just plugs on the top of a Raspberry Pi. But
Steve needs to buy one
Yes,
so we
Joe
can
Brett.
do a show on it.
yeah, it's going to be like one of those things like I showed y'all before, right? That little board that was the Rig Expert, the A30.0.
Yeah,
You
the
guys are going to
A0.
find a few of them, do some videos on them, and we'll never see them again.
Right, exactly.
Cape Cod, this is a Midwestern goodbye. This is how we do it in
Yes, this
Chicago.
is. Oh man, Midwestern goodbyes. Oh man, Irish goodbye. This is where I just clicked the end button and you guys have no idea what happened.
Yeah. No.
Folks, thank you very much for being here. We'll see you next week.
All right.
And I clicked the button.